Smartphones are great. Ever since their conception, they have been getting better year after year. We send messages to our friends and family, browse the internet, and can even book a holiday. They have gotten so good that we can now shoot high-quality photos and videos just like that and instantly share them. That's why many just use our phones on vacation as our main camera. Smartphones are always with you. You don't need to take any extra gear. Computational photography has become so good with the latest smartphones that they are good straight out of camera with no editing. You literally point and shoot. It's that easy. For the average user, you don't need to think about settings. Having such a large high-resolution display, we can clearly see what we want to capture. Then we can instantly share our favorite holiday snaps to our socials so everyone back home gets FOMO. Even if you're on a group holiday, everyone can add their snaps to a group album and you have a collective of photos of one another. They're also much more discreet compared to a big old camera and lens, which can be intimidating for others or might not even be allowed in some places. And because of all of that, it's no surprise most people have stopped using cameras altogether. Have you noticed there isn't many good quality compact cameras compared to the previous decade? There just isn't a need for them. I mean, cameras like the Fujifilm X100 or the Sony RX1R are either really expensive or sold out. Even for myself, I stopped using compact cameras and just started using my smartphone. However, since buying a dedicated camera, I'm using my smartphone less and less. And I only start noticing the flaws more with smartphones for travel photography, which just compounds the flaws even more. For instance, because we use our phones for pretty much everything, even when we're on holiday, the batteries just drain so much faster. Let me know in the comments if you started getting battery anxiety, especially if you have a phone that's slightly older that doesn't hold its charge like it used to. Even if the phone is the latest, it won't last all day, with heavier usage from trying to take photos as well as using maps to navigate to tourist hotspots and then jumping on socials. You just end up carrying around a charging brick, and now you either have a cable tethered to you, or if you're just using MagSafe, it's just another thing to charge. And honestly, if you're relying on a phone, a power bank becomes almost essential. Otherwise, you're not just going to make it through the day. On top of this, and this is especially the case for countries with extreme climate like Cyprus, where temperatures can reach up to 40 degrees Celsius, your phone throttles back its performance to preserve the battery. Now the phone charges much slower and it doesn't even get to 100%. Maybe it just stops charging altogether because you get the dreaded overheated warning. I know that's happened to me. And then you're left with an unusable device. No camera, no navigation, no nothing until it cools. Moments have been missed. And when it comes to overheating, simple things like keeping your phone out of direct sunlight, taking it out of your pocket, or even just giving it a break between shots actually makes a big difference. Speaking of unusable in the summer, we all like to get away somewhere hot and sunny, and the problem with using a smartphone in the sun is the screen dims its brightness to conserve battery. That's if it hasn't already overheated. Then you might come across glare, making it hard to see what you're actually taking. With a dedicated camera, sure, we have LCD screens that are not superior to a phone, but we have a viewfinder, and this makes shooting in bright conditions much easier, helping you nail the shot. You spend thousands to go on vacation only to be glued to your phone. I'm guilty of this too, and it's something I'm trying to fix myself, but we need to be more present. It's fine to take photos with our phone, but if we're snapping photos and sharing every single moment on social media, then are you really getting an authentic experience on your vacation, whether it's by yourself interacting with locals or with your travel partner? On top of this, we have what I like to call digital distraction. We pick up our phones and get inundated with notifications and forget what we were supposed to be doing. Oh, that's right, take a photo. See what I mean about the lack of being present? An actual camera doesn't distract you. If anything, it's immersing you in photography. Here's something that might trigger some people. Storage. This has become increasingly more expensive in recent times, and for those who are not paying for cloud storage to back up your photos or at least offload older ones, are now struggling to take new photos and getting storage anxiety. Then you're frantically trying to decide what older photos to delete or even apps. You don't have this problem with a dedicated camera. Then there's always that one person with a camera, and when you take a look at their photos, they just seem way better. And this brings me to another point about smartphones for travel photography. Despite the simplicity, native camera apps have very little control for creative photography. They don't really teach you the exposure triangle. Sure, you can download a third-party app. Some may be free, others paid, but at this point, you might as well get a camera. Using a proper camera that has a physically larger sensor, real glass that creates a natural background blur, unlike a smartphone portrait mode that creates this artificially. And when you see those photos straight out of camera, imagine if they're edited. You can extract so much more. Also, just the feeling of holding a proper camera with a dedicated grip feels so good to hold. And when you press that shutter button and hear that shutter click, it's so much more satisfying. It's a bit like how modern cars are all plastered with screens. There's no real feedback and we long for something physical to touch. Don't get me wrong, smartphone photography is great, but after years of using a dedicated camera, you can tell the difference between a camera and a smartphone. Now, I'm not saying to stop using your smartphone for travel photography or to go out and buying a dedicated camera. This is merely just my insights giving you the pros and cons from using both. Actually, let me know in the comments, when you go on vacation, what do you use to take photos? Are you using a smartphone or a dedicated camera? I'd love to know. Plus, there's something maybe I haven't even thought of yet. Now, if you're not ready to invest into a camera, that's fine. After all, they say the best camera is the one that you have on you. So, if you're using a smartphone, there are a few simple things you can do to get better results. First, clean your lens. It sounds obvious, but you'll be surprised how often there's a bit of dust or smear that ruins the otherwise great shot. If your phone allows it, try shooting in RAW. This gives you more information in the image and helps you avoid that overly processed look you sometimes get straight out of camera. You can also turn on grid lines. It's a small thing, but it really helps composition and lining up your shots properly for a more aesthetically pleasing photo. Start thinking a bit more on how you frame your photos. Use foreground elements, look for natural frames, and try to add some depth to your image instead of just pointing and shooting. Another simple one is locking your exposure. Tap on your subject and bring the exposure down slightly, and you'll get more consistent and more often professional looking image. Underexposing slightly also helps preserve the highlights. If your phone has multiple focal lengths, don't just stick to the default. Try using a longer lens to compress the scene and make your photos feel a bit more unique. And if you want more control, you can always use a third-party app like Lightroom, where you can adjust the settings like shutter speed, ISO, and focus. If you love taking photos, then why not enhance your skills further? I mean, if you ever visit Cyprus and you book a photography tour, then we can go over these with you and help get the most out of your smartphone or camera. I'll leave a link in the description box down below. I've also included a free photo spots guide for inspiration. I'll see you in Cyprus soon.